If you have clicked on this video, there are 70% chances that you have a crush on one of your colleagues. Office romances can be a tricky thing, but do not worry. I'm here to answer all your questions and help you decide whether or not to ask them out on a date. Hello everyone, this is Pankhuri Jain and I have created this channel to help you with your day-to-day struggles at workplace and with your career so that you can walk your corporate talk with me. I put up a poll on Instagram on what kind of videos should I do, and boy do we need to talk about workplace dating. It's about time that we address the elephant in the room and discuss the pros and cons of workplace romance. Research says that 60% of us date our co-workers. Out of that, 20% of us find long-term commitments and spouses at work, while 37% of us intentionally refrain from dating at the workplace. So what is this hue and cry about workplace dating? Why is it such a big deal? Well, for starters, it is your workplace. This is where you get your bread from. This is where you get your money from, and you cannot absolutely afford anything going wrong there. And it's not a news that relationships, romantic relationships, can be very tricky. Despite that it is such a debatable topic, it is only natural that one tends to find love at workplace. On an average, we work 2,500 hours in a year at work and we spend it all with our co-workers. Sooner or later, you are bound to get attracted to that person who you spend this much time with. You know how they are going to react to certain situations. You know how they are as a person. There is a sense of comfort with that person, and you have a lot of topics in common to discuss about and talk about. That is what exactly creates a great relationship, isn't it? But why is it risky? What are the cons of workplace dating? Why is it frowned upon? Let's look at that. Now, if you ask me whether or not to date that person, I would have a very simple answer for you. Do not do it. Do not do it. Avoid it at all costs. Now, don't hate me for saying that. I have very valid reasons why you should not be dating your coworkers. First things first, it creates a really negative impact on you. You are thought of as highly unprofessional and immature because you are not able to separate your personal and professional lives. You two are treated as one unit, and somehow people are intimidated of you, and for no reason creates a notion that you guys are progressing in your career only because of a certain kind of a bias or favoritism. And of course, it does create an impact on your productivity as well. You are distracted most of the time thinking about small things like how good they are looking, maybe in that black dress, or why did they speak to me like that? These are the things that you do not want to bring to your workplace. It will not let you focus on the task at hand. Also, God forbid if things don't work out, can you imagine how uncomfortable it would be to move on from that relationship? Imagine that you are facing your ex every single day at work. Worse if you have interdependent tasks at hand. Worst comes worst, you can also fall victim to false accusation, to things as grave as sexual harassment at workplace. Do you want something this ugly to happen at your workplace? No, right? So it's always advisable to refrain from dating at workplace. Another commonly asked question is whether or not can I date my boss? I would say never ever do that, because that is really frowned upon, because there is a very strong reason attached to it, and that is there is a power dynamic involved. Your boss can directly influence and impact your career. Let's say you're a very hardworking woman or a man who works really hard at their job and who has worked days and nights to be where you are at currently. Just so it happens that you are dating your current supervisor, then there would be a notion that you have reached that level in the organization just because of certain favoritism and bias. All your blood, sweat and tears goes down the drain. You would certainly not like that. Hence, it is advisable never ever to date your boss or your supervisor. Now, what if you're already dating someone at work? Do not worry, you've not done something really wrong. It is very common, it is very obvious and natural, and no matter how much it is frowned upon, you can always handle things professionally, and it will be all good. Here are some do's and don'ts which you should strictly keep in mind if you are falling for that person at your workplace. First and foremost, you should check with your HR manager what are the policies with your company around dating at workplace. Some companies do not find it acceptable at all, and you can be fired based on that. So you need to really check what are the policies, what are the ground rules that your company has around workplace dating. Some of the organizations ask you to declare your relationship and make you sign a love contract. A love contract is you declaring that you are in a relationship with a certain person. This is done to avoid any false accusation of sexual harassment in future if, God forbid, things go ugly. Other organizations also make you move from one department to the other and separate you guys so that there is no task interdependence. It is always good that even if you are dating at the workplace, you are not working for the same team. Public display of affection is a big no-no in any organization. Touching, kissing, or even holding hands should strictly be avoided. Communication of any sort should be very, very professional. Your emails, your messages through Skype or Slack should all be very professional. You should avoid using nicknames at workplace. You can call them boo at home, but in office they should be Miss Jain or Mr. Arora itself. Avoid bringing emotional baggage at work. Your silly fights, your arguments should stay out of the door of the office premises. As soon as you're in the office premises, you both are colleagues. Even if your tasks are interdependent or not, you should behave professionally at all times. Everything said, I would still suggest avoid dating at workplace because it is risky and you do not want to take any risks or chances with your professional lives and with your career. The last piece of advice I would give you is reach out to your HR manager because HR managers are committed to creating safe work environment for you, and they will give you the best piece of advice if you are facing any such dilemma whether or not to date that coworker of yours. It's best to avoid it, but then the HR manager would know the company policy and will give you the best course of action. I will see you in the next one. Till then, stay home, stay safe.